We're going to take a look at tree pose, which is one of my favorite poses, a pose I teach in almost every one of my yoga classes. And we're going to look at it in relation to bad posture and how tree pose tends to magnify what I think is the bad posture most people display. So first I'll start by showing you what I think is good posture. Our thighs back, shoulders on top of the hips, back of the neck long, ears over the shoulders even though my head might be slightly forward, front ribs soft, back ribs open. Right? So that's my kind of version of good posture. I think it's pretty all right. And here's what I think is most people's bad posture. I think the pelvis tends to tuck under. When the pelvis tucks under, the thighs get jammed forward. Some people hyperextend. When the thighs get jammed forward, the upper body tends to lean backwards, and this collapse happens at T12L1. All right, so I'm going to come to tree pose, bringing my left foot high up into my right inner thigh. And what I find that happens in so many tree poses is that, for one, the lifted leg hip goes backwards. It tends to sickle back due to weak pelvic muscle, so we have to turn that hip forward. And we tend to really sink that standing thigh forward, often locking the standing knee if hyperextension is available to you. So here we're going to try to get the left hip forward, unlock the standing knee, and deepen the groin of the standing leg. And that might even make you feel like you're pitching forward. We're going to soften the front ribs and open the back body. Right? So again, the tendency is people lean backwards, tuck the pelvis, take the left hip back, jam the front thigh forward. Right? And we're going to try to get the left hip even with the right hip, unlock the standing knee if that's your issue, deepen the groin of the standing leg. So no pushing that standing leg forward, get it under the hip. Even if that pitches you forward, draw the ribs in and lengthen up to the back of the neck. So let's take a look at that from the second side, just for good measure. Bringing the right foot high up into the left inner thigh. And again, I think the tendency is that right hip goes way back, way more than most people realize. So we're going to turn that right hip forward. We're going to keep the left leg unlocked and keep the left groin deep, right? A space, a crease in the hips. Instead of jamming it forward and tucking under, we're going to take that thigh back, try to get it directly under the pelvis. Use the wall for help, and hands in prayer, deepening opening the middle back, lengthening the back of the neck. Right? So the tendency is this kind of leaning backwards and jamming the hip crease, and we want to open the hip crease, create as much space as we can there. And that's just my image of how tree pose tends to magnify so many people's bad posture. And in that regard, you can really use tree pose at home as a practice. Use a mirror, just do it a lot at home, and try to work on those things to see if you can get a correlation to your own posture and use that to work on improving your posture. I think tree pose is just a great pose in yoga classes, but a great thing to work on at home. The standing balance is great, the work in the feet is great.